Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to start reviewing a new show from HBO, Years and Years. So, Years and Years is a British show that actually already aired over in Britain. It actually is on BBC One, and this is just HBO bringing it over to the American audience. So, Years and Years is a 6-part miniseries, and it's basically diving into almost a political satire of if international relations were to break down, and it has some very, very strong political undertones. I wouldn't even really say undertones. The show is overtly very political, and how a family is dealing with these events of basically their world collapsing around them. I have to say, I'm usually not a humongous fan of political satire. It doesn't really bother me or anything like that, but I feel like it can be distracting sometimes in films and television series. But I think it's handled really well in this. It doesn't feel too preachy. You are kind of seeing multiple sides of the argument of things that are going on in the international world, and it does the job of projecting into the future and kind of speculating, okay, what happens if this goes very, very bad? I do like how the series starts off with a child being born, and it's like, okay, what's the child's life going to be like in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And then it jumps forward 5 years and does a quick flash forward and does almost like a Twilight Zone thing, like, oh, this is what happened here, and this is what happened here, setting up the framework of what could be some catastrophic events. And I'm really interested to see how this show goes. I know that I could look it up and see what already happens, because I actually went to go researched the show after watching it, and I realized that it had already aired and I could see everything that was going to happen, so I totally avoided doing that. But I'm interested to see how it's going to play out, especially with that gut punch of the end of the episode, seeing the things that are happening. I don't want to really spoil it too much for anyone if you haven't seen it. I do definitely think it's worth checking out, and it's one of those shows that if the first episode's kind of spoiled the ending, the tension's kind of cut a little bit. There's a good amount of tension in the show, and I think they handle it really well. You're really wondering, okay, things are starting to spiral. You're getting these news headlines. You're getting these little tones of something is not right in the grand scheme of things, and then, boom, at the end. Other than all the political stuff and all the alternative timeline type things going on, I do think that the family drama aspect of the show is handled really well. I'm really invested in these characters. Even though I've only seen them for one episode, I'm really intrigued to see how they are dealing with this event, because they all have very different personalities. They all have very different things going on in their lives. And I think they're fleshed out really well. It's some interesting motivations. Seeing a show where you feel like the characters have their own story to tell, and they have their own personal investments in their relationships, and it's not really just about this big event. It's just them dealing with the big event while it being still at its core kind of a family drama. I thought Emma Thompson does a really good job in the show. It's interesting to me because she's obviously playing kind of an outsider political candidate, with the kind of the feeling of like a Donald Trump or someone like that. But I think she handles it really well. It's really interesting to see kind of how people could get behind someone that is kind of against the status quo when they're fed up with the way things are going, and they're fed up with international relationships, and they only care about domestic events. And the show does take that to an extreme when if you don't care about international relations and you're willing to risk everything, it kind of does that at the end. And it's interesting as a case study to be like, okay, maybe this is what would happen if things were taken to that level. I think the character Bethany, who's actually one of the daughters in the show, is really interesting. She has a talk with her parents where she talks about how she wants to transcend into being a digital entity, and that's kind of a strange concept to me. I mean, you wouldn't think about that. You saw films like Singularity and other movies like that where your consciousness is uploaded into the internet or into a robot, and you kind of live forever and you transcend your physical being, almost like a Chappie type movie type thing. And I thought it was interesting that they're diving into that, and she has a thing where she wears almost like a Snapchat filter her face because she doesn't feel comfortable being like who she is, being as a human. And it's kind of strange. Like, could the future lead to something like that, where we could potentially leave our bodies and go out there and not have to deal with the physical realm of the world? It's really interesting. I really thought the family interconnections were compelling. I want to know how these characters deal with each other, and having this slight banter back and forth between the different people of different generations it's compelling. I feel like I'm watching a real family that's talking about political issues, that has, sides of both sides of the argument, and they both want to think different things, and they're trying to justify it. And it's interesting to watch. And I don't feel like it ever gets too preachy. I know for some people, obviously politics is always an extremely hot button issue. I don't really want to discuss politics. I'm just talking about the aspects of the show. But it's cool. It's kind of cool seeing that in a more fictional style. And like I said, without giving away any spoilers, I thought that ending was a real gut punch. Just everything going on in that last segment of the show was just on the edge of a knife and you're like, what is going to happen? I'm so intrigued. I want to see what's happening in the next episode. I love it when a show has a good hook and you're just like, I need to watch the next episode. I need to find out what's going to happen. And I'm hoping the series continues to keep me invested, keep me interested. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how it plays out. I mean, I know it already happened. Like I said, it's already aired over across the ocean. But yeah, I'm interested to see it. Alright guys, if you watched Years and Years, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy it like I did? Do you think that HBO is having a pretty good slate of shows coming out recently? Put those thoughts down below. And like with all the videos on our channel, it's just our opinion. I'd like to see yours in the comments down below. I'd like to start that conversation. And see you guys next time.